guys, how are you today? Today I'm going to be doing a review of The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This is going to be only a non-spoiler review as I want to start doing my spoiler and non-spoiler reviews separate, just so that way my videos aren't too long. So let's just get into the video. Before I get into the synopsis, I'm going to put in a quick trigger warning of depression and suicide, as well as suicidal thoughts. Nora Seed has decided that she wants to die. She has nothing tethering her to her current life, and therefore she has decided to kill herself. But once she has decided that it is time to do so, and she has gone through with it, she wakes up in a library, and it's this expansive, beautiful place where there are rows upon rows of bookshelves. And every single book has a life in it, a life that is something she could actually choose to have. And if she does not find a life that she wishes to go through with, death will come for her. I found Matt Haig's representation of depression and anxiety really realistic and honestly quite refreshing, because quite often when we see it, it's so dramatized and sometimes even glorified. Like if you look at Riverdale, for example, it's just so refreshing to see that it wasn't dramatized or romanticized. It was a very real representation. I found a very strong connection with Nora, even though I'm not the same age as her. She's a 35-year-old character, but I still felt such an understanding with her because I've had the same level as depression and anxiety to her. I actually get very anxious just filming, but I'm doing my best to not show it. So I honestly thought that was very well done. I really liked Nora. She was a genuinely nice character who actually wanted to make an imprint on the world, but unfortunately due to her depression and anxiety, she just kept falling back at it. She tried and she always tried to see the good in people. She cared very greatly for the people around her. Like for example, she was buying her neighbor's medicine and bringing it to him because he wasn't well enough to go get it himself. Like, she's just a genuinely nice person, and it's just so refreshing to see. This book is very character based, so if you like a book that is more action packed or plot based, this isn't really the one. There is still a lot of plot in it. However, it's almost like short stories within a giant story, almost kind of like monologues. But these separate lives that she experiences are so different and expansive. It does feel like you're reading a little bit like short stories. However, they do coincide, they do make a lot of sense, and it does make it feel a little bit more fun to read. But if you are someone like me who really likes character-driven stories, this may be for you, because honestly, I found it really refreshing. It was really just Nora and the librarian in the story. Those were the two main characters. You don't really get to know the librarian as much, because the librarian is almost an extension of Nora, but you get to know Nora so well, and you get to know Nora as she gets to know herself. I loved the chapters. They were very quick and concise. The only times they would reach the point of like a regular or even longer chapter would be if it were her experiencing a different life. And as she would stay in that life for longer, the chapters would be longer. And I actually thought that was quite interesting, especially because it was almost like the similar format to the previous book I read, Lona, where it would be a heading and then the plot for that chapter. Unfortunately, I found that the book did get a little bit repetitive in the first, I'd say, third of the story, because every time Nora would experience a life, it would just be really bad towards the end, and she would just not want to continue, and she'd just be like, no, 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 I don't want this, I do want death to come for me. And it makes sense once she has like a revelation as to why this is, but it does drag a little bit, and it made it just a little bit frustrating. And also I did find that the middle of the book dragged a little bit as well, but not for too long. So there are those parts that are a bit more repetitive and do drag, but in my opinion, it wasn't enough for me to put down the book. It's not enough for me to say this is a bad book. Lastly, I do really wish that Matt Haig delved deeper into Nora's depression and mental health, just because we kind of really only saw it from the perspective as if we were somebody else. So it wasn't like we were in Nora's head, because this isn't really in her perspective, this is in third person. It kind of felt like I was sitting there and watching everything happen, but I can see inside of her head, rather than actually experiencing it as she is experiencing it. And it was also the type of thing of, it was just that I found it kind of, I wanted to see what she had done in the past to improve her mental health, only for it to not work, or maybe only work for a certain period of time. Because from the looks of it, she has tried. In fact, she has tried a lot, because she references to it, but we don't know what she has tried. We know that she takes antidepressants, but that is about it. What are her coping mechanisms? I believe that her cat was a coping mechanism, but when you read the book, you find out what happens with that. It's all just very much, I wanted to know more more about her mental health, and I also wanted to see if we could use it as a way to start a discussion with other people. I honestly think that we could use this to start a discussion. I honestly think maybe bringing this book into schools would be a good idea. It is a bit more of an adult read. I reckon maybe kids might get a bit bored by it, but later teens might enjoy it a bit more, because honestly I would consider this more of an adult book, just because the character is 35 years old, and also because she deals with issues that are very much 35-year-old issues, if that makes sense, and also because she has this constant thing of, I'm not in a relationship, I don't have children, and I'm 35, because it's like the woman's expectation to have children and be married by the age of 35, which please, let's let go of that. So it was just something like that. I just wanted to delve more into her mental health and more into her character as well. But also there is so much character growth in this book. It is crazy. And I really love the amount of character growth that Nora goes through, and how much she learns about herself and about the people around her and what could have been. And the fact that she learns that it's okay to make mistakes. So I love the underlying theme of the book, that it's okay to make these mistakes, that it's okay to regret things as well. But sometimes making these mistakes is what shapes you, and we really should not regret them too much. And I love that theme of the book. It actually really helped me, because I was experiencing some regrets recently, and that book did help me to understand that those were the right decisions. And anyway, no point dwelling on them because you can't change them. Anyway, those are all of my thoughts and opinions on The Midnight Library. I hope you really enjoyed this review. And if you've read this book, how about leave a comment below about your thoughts on it. If you didn't like it, if you have a different opinion to what I have, if you gave it a 1-star review, let me know why. I'm actually more than curious to know, and I'd love to discuss this book with you. Anywho, enjoy the rest of your day. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And I don't know how to do outro, so bye!